I saw Total Biscuit mention this game a few times, and then I saw it on Steam for $1.29 and immediately bought it, and I'm really glad I did. The most unique thing about Brothers is that you play as two people at once. The older brother is controlled with the left analog stick and left trigger, and the younger brother is controlled with the right analog stick and right trigger. Each brother has unique things they can do, and you have to use both of them properly in order to solve puzzles and advance through areas. The story is pretty simple. It starts with a flashback to when the younger brother and his mother were on a boat and the mother fell out and drowned. The younger brother tried to save her, but he can't swim. Then you gain control and play as the brothers, taking your sick father to a doctor's hut. The characters speak a fictional language which forces you to figure out what's going on by traversing the world around you. To put it succinctly, gameplay tells the story. You care about these two brothers and their relationship with each other because you are the one making them interact with each other. There are other games with an emphasis on story, like BioShock Infinite, but for a story game, Infinite doesn't have much story or character development during the action segments. Elizabeth basically runs around giving you ammo and hiding behind cover as enemies completely ignore her. Then after some decent gunplay, the characters reunite and the story resumes. The action impedes the story more than it enhances it. In Brothers, both brothers are in danger, and you have to make them work together to solve the puzzle of locking the orc in his own cage. The design used in BioShock Infinite isn't necessarily bad, as is evident in The Last of Us, but it gives you a lopsided view of the relationship between characters, as for the most part, you only play as one of them. In The Last of Us, that was an advantage of the game. After playing the whole game as Joel, at the very end you play as Ellie. The shift in perspective is jarring because, as Matthew Mitosis pointed out in his excellent review, suddenly you see Joel through Ellie's eyes and realize how sad, lonely, and almost pathetic Joel seems, which is in sharp contrast to the gruff badass he seems like while you play as him. Yes, I know you play as Ellie in the winter portion of the game, but Ellie and Joel are separated during that time, so there is no point in that chapter where you see Joel through Ellie's eyes. In Brothers, the relationship is more balanced, as it's not an escort mission, but two people who both need each other, and the dynamic that you control both brothers, and both are equally as important, is used to deliver the emotional crux of the game. The older brother dies. At the end of the fight with the half-woman, half-spider, the spider stabs the older brother with a poisoned limb before it dies. The younger brother then carries the older brother to the next area, where the tree that has the magical water that can heal their father is. At every other point in the game where you push things, using both brothers made the process faster. That is, you could push a cart using only the younger brother, but it would be slower than if you used both brothers because obviously two people can push faster. Here, controlling the older brother to move forward does nothing, emphasizing that the weight of the situation is entirely on the shoulders of the younger brother, who sets his older brother down and starts climbing the tree to get to the water. At this point you feel frantic, as you finally made it to the place you've been fighting to get to the whole game, and you're so close to the water that can save your brother. But you're too late. By the time you get back to your brother, he's already dead. The most heartbreaking thing about it is there's a scene where the little brother is standing over the older brother's body, and the camera pans around and it looks like the older brother stood up, and the two of them embrace. But then the camera pans back around to the other side, and you see the older brother's body lying on the ground again. What makes this moment so effective is that there were multiple times in the game that the brothers just barely escaped from perilous situations and were so relieved they were both safe they hugged it out. The little brother wants so badly for the same thing to happen this time, but it doesn't. It's just a fantasy. Then the game makes you bury your brother. In most games, when a character dies you feel upset, but then the game carries on the same way. Brothers makes you feel the loss, as it takes away half of the control you had. With the older brother dead, the whole left of your controller is useless. The way you got used to moving both brothers around is gone. After the little brother fills up his water pouch again, a flying animal he freed earlier comes back and flies him home. When he gets there, it's night and there's a storm raging. The small island the bird dropped him off on isn't connected to the main village by a bridge, but he can't swim. At the other points in the game that required swimming, he just rode on his older brother's back. But he has to get the water back to his dad. By pressing the same button you used to carry the little brother on the older brother's back, the little brother is able to gather the strength and courage to swim. While he swims, you can hear the older brother's voice in the air offering words of encouragement. You climb up the side of a hill and there are two handholds. At the other points in the game, there were 2 handholds because there was one for each brother to climb, but here it emphasizes that the little brother is alone. Then there is a platform you have to pull a lever on for it to take you across a gap. The older brother was always the one that pulled the levers, as the younger brother was too weak for it. But now if you hold down the action button for the younger brother and the older brother at the same time, you can once again hear the older brother's voice in the air, and the younger brother gathers all the strength he can and flips the switch. He finally makes it back to the doctor's hut where his dad is and gives him the medicine before passing out on the floor. The game then cuts to a sunny day, and the surviving brother makes his way up the hill to where his mom's and now brother's tombstones are. His father is already there, and the two stand silently at the foot of the graves until the father breaks down and cries. His son tries to comfort him, but he can't, most likely because of how guilty the father feels that his son died while on a mission to save him. The camera then zooms in on the face of the little brother, showing a stoic expression before zooming past into the sky and ending the game. This game is a story about the little brother. The older brother is an important part, but the story arc is that of the little brothers. The game opens with a tragic flashback that shows the younger brother can't save his mother, and then cuts to him kneeling over her grave. Then through playing as him, we are introduced to the older brother. The younger brother is the one who has to overcome tragedy, and at the end, when he's back by the graves, we see it's made him stronger and more resilient. And on a gameplay level, he's the one we control with our right hand, most people's dominant hand, which reinforces him as the central character. Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons is a great game. It offers an emotional story not just in addition to, but directly through the most unique and important aspect of video games, the gameplay. If you haven't played the game, I would still recommend it, even with the ending revealed, because, as with all great games, the experience of playing it is worth considerably more than the experience of watching a video about it.